Right, we're back. What can you see that's new? This. Check it out. My new YouTube channel, album art. Just produced by my fair hands with a bit of assistance from Canva. Let's get it off. See it there? Pretty cool, eh? Right, what are we on today? We are on, obviously, the Welcome to Introduction, the Learning React course from Scrimba I'm going through. We are now on to lesson 14, which is, let's bring that on and off, a little cool effect. Custom Components Part 2. And we're also going to move straight on to Custom Components quiz after that. Bet you can't wait. Right. Quick cracking, get cracking. Let's go.
The next part of our challenge is to add some more elements to our page here. First, I want you to add a header element with a nested nav element inside. And then inside the nav, you'll have a nested image element with the source that I've mentioned here and some other notes that you should read through. I also want you to add an H1 element that will go below the header element, but above the ordered list. And at the very bottom, underneath the ordered list, I want you to add a footer element with some text that I have here. Make sure to read through the whole challenge there so you get a better idea of what you need to be working on. And as always, pause the screencast here and work on this challenge.
Right, my head was spinning after all that information.
One of the biggest tricks in this challenge is...
What? Shut up, Bob. Right, let's take this one step at a time. Add a header element. The nested nav. Inside the nav includes an image with the image of the logo. Make sure the width, okay. Add a header element with a nested nav element. Header. Right, okay. Oh, I wish this used. I wish this used. I'm at complete typing. Issue programmer in it. Now, put something on Discord. No one's answered it. Shit houses. Inside the nav, include an image. Why would you put an image inside a nav element? Not semantic HTML, but hey ho. Auto-completes. That, which ain't HTML. In. He's given us the property there, hasn't he? Let's bang that in. With something more manageable. Okay. Hey, Bob. Windows, right? Bloody racket. A gaggle of chavs walking past the room, walking past the house. Close that off. Yeah. Do we? No. Adjacent Jsx Elements must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. Right, okay. Best wrap the whole thing in a... Yeah, I remember. You can't do adjacent things without a parent, can you? Okay. Jsx. Oh. Right, Bob. Add a H1 with some text describing the page. place it in the ordered list. Again, in ordered lists. Darcy doesn't even know how to structure HTML. And header Bob. Place for it. The obvious place for it. Add H1 with some text describing the page. Kind of meta information as well. It shouldn't be in a H1. Can't do as he says. Right. So it looks a bit shit there. Let's see what it looks like there. Sod it, leave it there. Oh, do it properly. You, Bob. Add a footer after the list that says copyright. Okay. After the list. Right. It ain't right in JSX. Well, this lesson. But you get one. You get my point. Add a footer after the list that says this. Copyright message. Yeah, doesn't he? Fed. Cool, isn't it? Front end development. That'll work. Yep. Piece of piss.
One of the biggest tricks in this challenge is to make sure that you don't just try to add a header. Hopefully that didn't cause too many headaches for anyone. But the biggest problem with this is that, again, I'm trying to create two sibling JSX elements here, one with the header and one with the ordered list. Inside of a component, I just can't do that. I have to have one parent component. So I could either use those fragment tags that I briefly mentioned earlier, like this, or a lot of times you'll see people just wrap it in a div like this. Now that I've done that, everything is working again the way I'd expect. Inside of my header, I'm going to include a nav element. Nav is just basically an HTML5 semantic element that is basically the same thing as a div, except it's better for screen readers and assistive technologies. Inside of my nav, I'm going to have an image element, and that one needs to have a source that I included up here. So I'll just copy this, make sure I get that quotation mark there, get rid of that extra space. And let's just save this and see how things are looking. Okay, and my React logo is huge, so I'm going to give it a width of 40 pixels like I've done before.
Speed this up.
Okay, that's more manageable. Next, we need to add an H1 with some text describing the page, like reasons why I'm excited to learn React. We'll just copy that. Let's see, that'll go underneath the header, and we'll put an H1 there, and I'll just paste that text in right there. Refresh it, and okay, that's starting to look good. Then at the very bottom, so this is above this ending div, because I still need it to be a part of my page component, but below my ordered list, I'm going to add a footer element. And inside the footer, we need to have this text here. but we'll customize it to be relevant for me. So currently it's 2021. This has got semantic problems because I have those elements there. And I'm going to call this Zroll development because Zroll's my last name. All rights reserved. Real official. This is not going to be stolen by anyone for sure now that I have this footer here. And let's go ahead and refresh this. Sometimes people will
Literally being stolen by me now, Bob.
put this inside of a small tag. I'm kind of just curious to see what that looks like. I need to end this correctly. And yeah, I guess that looks a little better. We'll leave it like that. Okay, nice work. Now, some of you may have been wondering, well, why am I just building everything as this monolithic page component? I thought the whole reason that we were creating our own custom components is because then I can compose them together instead of just shoving everything into this one component. And you would be right. So in the next lesson, we are going to learn how to compose these elements together, learning the concept of parent and child components and so forth. Before we do that, though, I want to make sure that you've been awake and that you're following along. We're going to have a quick quiz. So that is coming up next.
Fairly straightforward, that. Nothing particularly groundbreaking. So let's move on to lesson 15. Custom components quiz. Ooh. Can barely contain myself.
Okay, it's quiz time again. Read through the questions in the quiz, actually click into the editor, type down your answers. And if you find yourself not knowing the answer to one of these, don't just kind of plow ahead, but instead actually do some research. See if you can figure out on your own with Google and whatever other resources you have available to you what the answer to the quiz question is before just moving on. So pause now, answer the questions to the quiz, and then we'll go through them together.
What is a React component? It's a representation of it's a self-contained representation of UI, UI element, element. Page. Okay, what's this code? Function, my component return. So it's not in the Pascal case, which he said is that if you create a component using a function, I think what's wrong with this code. So yeah, you can proper Pascal case rather than camel case there. Return header. Nav. Okay. DOM header. It's this here. He's calling it like you do. He's calling this function like you do in normal JavaScript, and it's not like that in JSX. It's like this. I think I'd be getting 10 out of 10. This was a quiz at school. Go on, Bob. Let me know the answers.
All right, number one, what is a React component? Well, basically put, a React component is simply a function that returns React elements. Well, what exactly are React elements? React elements are the objects that get created when we return JSX. So although this looks very much like HTML, remember this is JSX, which is a special syntax of React, and under the hood, it's returning a regular JavaScript object. Those objects are eventually turned into real DOM elements, JSX, HTML that create our React elements. React elements are the object function that returns React elements. Well, what exactly are React elements? React elements are the objects that get created when we return JSX. So although this looks very much like HTML, remember this is JSX, which is a special syntax of React, and under the hood, it's returning a regular JavaScript object. Those objects are eventually turned into real DOM elements that people can see on the screen. So sometimes you'll hear people refer to this as UI or user interface. And that just means that it's what the user can actually see on the screen. And just like any other JavaScript function, a component can be reused over and over. Here I'm creating a page component, but I can run my page function, so to speak, or in other words, create an instance of my page component by just rendering page again. Okay, let's go to number 2. What is wrong with the following code? It's a really small difference, but it's an important one. Any components that you create need to begin with a capital letter. This is called Pascal case, where it's essentially camel case, but where the first letter is also capitalized. Basically, anytime you might want to have, I guess you could say, different words in your component name, like my component, all you do is capitalize the first letter of the next word. This would, of course, be instead of putting some kind of space in between there, like in a regular sentence. And then finally, what's wrong with the code in number 3? Hopefully this one wasn't too difficult to find, but if you look way down here, instead of calling our function like you might normally be used to by adding parentheses at the end, with function components in React, you instead surround these with the angle brackets as if it were a regular HTML tag. And in React, this is the correct way to, I guess you could say, call your component or create an instance of your component. Okay, short and sweet. Nice job on that quiz. Hopefully you were able to follow along. Next, we're going to move forward and see how we can do a better job of composing our components together.
Okay, so I think let's spin into this view. Yeah, looks a bit bad, isn't it? I think I answered that pretty well, apart from the first one. What is a React component? A function that returns React elements. So the component is actually the function which returns the elements, which are objects, not HTML. Then the render converts the objects into DOM HTML. Right, that was. My phone keeps binging. Pull request has been done. Best go and sort that out. Okay, see you on the next vid, which will be. Oh, I've got Discord's in the way. Move. Parent, child, components. How do I stop this? Bloody the window's gone. Stop sharing that. Kill that. Leave. Yeah, here I am. It went to full screen. Right. So like I said, next one. So we've done that one. We've done that one. Next up is parent child components. In a bit.